Greetings, Thals, Kaleds, and Mutos. This is episode 26 of the Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project. Just remember, I am your friend. Disregard the gun at your back. Season 12 features a story arc, ARC, which involves the Doctor, Sarah, and Harry transmatting off the arc in space, ARK, and down to an uninhabited planet Earth, where they stumble upon the Sontaran experiment. Once that is dealt with, the Doctor completes repairs to the faulty transmat controls, and the trio transmat back up to the Ark, with a K. Except, the beam is intercepted by the Time Lords, who unceremoniously deposit the Doctor and his friends on the planet Skaro, and charge them with an incredible, maybe impossible task: to change the future. Thus began the fourth story and the second all-time classic of the 1975 season. Writer Terry Nation was himself charged with an incredible task: to reveal the genesis of the Daleks. My next transcription was of a short theme heard in part one of that story. Our heroes barely have time to find their bearings when they must shelter against a barrage of explosions, make their way through a minefield, and eventually find themselves in a trench leading to a locked door made of thick metal. Suddenly, a poison gas shell explodes, and as they don gas masks, they are attacked by soldiers. Without warning, the metal door opens, and the attackers are mowed down by soldiers firing machine guns. The Doctor and Harry are taken inside the bunker, separating them from Sarah, who is left for dead. With hardly any time to recover, they are taken to be interrogated by a very young Khaled general, Raven. They turn the tables on him and at gunpoint force General Raven to help them return to the surface. Raven takes them to a lift, but as they nervously wait, they are approached by a slender, bespectacled man in a black tunic accompanied by machine-gun-toting soldiers. As Harry sticks a pistol in Raven's back, they realize they'll have to bluff it out. This humorless, formidable man turns out to be Nyder, the second in command of the Kaleds Elite Scientific Corps, and Dudley Simpson gives him an appropriately sinister military theme. Alas, heard nowhere else in the story but here, the character's introduction. Don't let me detain you. Enjoy Nyder's March. As you can hear, this is by far the shortest Simpson piece I transcribed that became a standalone piece, clocking in at between 15 and 20 seconds. The piece grabbed my interest due to its martial 6/8 rhythm and melody, but also Simpson's subverting of expected tonal harmony. It's menacing, but there's a wry humor mixed into the threat. The horns have the harmonized melody supported by an electric organ or keyboard with timpani and snare drum. The piece has two halves with a held pause in the middle for dialogue. These phrases are basically the same melody in two different keys and of course featuring different conclusions. We start in G major with the melody beginning on the fifth, D. The melody rises from that starting note in close but widening intervals, then returns to D with the same G major harmony. In the first case, the melodic move from D to E is supported harmonically by a very unsurprising harmonic shift from G major to the relative minor E minor. This is a common harmonic trick, to go somewhere without actually going anywhere. For the first measure and a half, this is pretty unremarkable, but don't worry, things are about to get subtly interesting. The second melodic leap is from D to F, a foreign note to the key of G major. The F falls chromatically back to D while a supporting horn line resolves from A through A flat down to G. This is all supported by a D dominant harmony. Again, an expected sound, but the chromaticism above adds color. After resolving back to G major, the next melodic leap is wider still, to F sharp, diatonic to the key of G major, unlike the F of the previous measure. Here, Simpson ups the ante by making the F sharp note the only thing related to G major at all. This note is harmonized with an F sharp major chord, literally a half step below the home key of G major. This slipping and sliding is made more colorful by the bass note D sharp, making in total D sharp minor 7, a harmonic left turn with no turn signal. Yet it's that F sharp melody note that keeps us anchored to G major, where the music now duly returns one more time. The last melodic leap of this phrase is up to A flat, another foreign note that resolves chromatically to F sharp. The second horn below harmonizes it in minor sixths, creating the sound of parallel major chords above the D dominant bass. This parallelism makes sense of the chromatic shifting at the foundation of Simpson's harmonic choices. As the melody lands on the downbeat, the harmony shifts away from G major for good, leaving things ambiguous for a few moments. The bass sounds almost like it missed its mark, for it lands on F sharp rather than G. The melody has continued its parallel slumping, landing on an augmented chord, which in total makes F sharp minor major 7. This harmony proves to be a diversion, as the horn melody above resolves to F sharp major. Maybe that's where we're headed now. No, the organ reveals an alteration of the harmony which turns the alleged F sharp major into an unsettled D sharp minor 6 or B sharp minor 7 flat 5, the same notes. The left hand reaches over the right to add the organ harmony. In any case, it's still unclear where next we're headed. This is the sound that puts the piece on hold for a few seconds, allowing Harry to poke the pistol in General Raven's back and say the lines, "Just remember we're your friends." The second half of the piece accompanies the arrival of the cool Imperial Nyder with his armed escort. As he glides through the corridor and comes upon Raven and his two incongruous companions, the music essentially restarts from the beginning, transposed up to A major. There's an extra beat of music here in which Simpson inserts a new initial melody that swells outward in half steps before resuming. This insertion denies the triplet feel of 6/8 time, 2 notes in the space where 3 were normally. As we crescendo toward the end, a G sharp minor major 7 chord, seeming like it will shift us away from A major, as happened earlier, becomes the first of 3 fat dissonant chords that herald Nyder's arrival, and the beginning of the tense scene to follow. The augmented chord that makes up most of the G sharp minor major 7 is followed by another augmented chord a half step up, with D in the bass, while the last sound is a B flat major chord but with a dissonant B natural in the bass. These disorienting chords bring the march grinding to a halt, with the timpani and organ banging out 2 notes ending on E, again using duple rather than triple rhythm. To imitate the quick decay of the timpani sound, the left hand plays staccato bass notes, while the right hand plays a quieter legato sound to imitate the organ's lingering note. In some ways, it's a shame that Simpson didn't reuse this theme in the remaining episodes of the story, but Despite that, we were given this little gem. Thanks awfully for watching episode 26 of the Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project. Coming up next, what started as a fan request grew into a transcription of the Dalek music from Genesis of the Daleks. Stay tuned then. Meanwhile, subscribe, like, share, and comment. See you then.